What is up, budget billers? My name is Trail, and today we have more stimulus checks going out over this past weekend. So you may have received another $600 stimulus check, or some of you may be receiving as much as $1,100 stimulus checks. Also, we have some shocking news from Senator Joe Manchin on Monday, as well as Manchin refusing to support and sign the social spending bill that he initially suggested that was okay. Just another setback for the Democrats as they were hoping to finally get approval on this coming Tuesday, which is today. But it appears that Joe Manchin has changed his mind on supporting the infrastructure social spending package. But without further ado, guys, hey, we have a lot to cover in this video. So if you're interested in those topics, if you would be so nice to just go ahead and hit the like button for us, it really helps out this video. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's totally free. Now, let's go ahead and jump right back into the video. The White House Press Secretary, Jen Psaki, announced on Friday that she has contracted the COVID-19. Psaki was not traveling with President Joe Biden, who was in Rome this weekend for the Group of 20 summit and is headed to Glasgow, Scotland on Monday. Psaki had planned to travel with the president but scrapped the trip just as she was set to depart for Europe after learning that members of her household had tested positive for COVID-19. Now, since then, she said that she has quarantined and tested negative via PCR for COVID on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then on Sunday, she actually tested positive. She said that she was last in contact with President Biden on last Tuesday and that the two sat more than 6 feet apart as well as they both wore masks. Now, Psaki said that thanks to the vaccine, I have only experienced mild symptoms, which has enabled me to continue to work from home. While I have not been in close contact in person with President Biden or the senior members of the White House staff since last Wednesday and tested negative for 4 days after that last contact, I am disclosing today's positive test out of an abundance of transparency. And then also, just in case you were wondering, but President Biden did receive his COVID-19 booster shot on September the 27th, shortly after the federal regulators approved of the third dose for many Americans. Stimulus checks have started to go out over this past weekend. More than 1 million Californians who qualify for the Golden State stimulus check but haven't received one yet could see a payment as soon as this past weekend. The payments started hitting bank accounts on October the 31st as part of the Golden State Stimulus 2 payments, which are part of the overall Golden State Stimulus. Now, they're saying that if you qualify, you will receive your payment by either direct deposit or check in the mail, and typically you will receive your payment using the refund option that you selected on your tax return. Most direct deposit stimulus payments will be issued between September the 1st and October the 31st, and some payments may need extra time to process for accuracy and completeness. Now, this next payment in the Golden State Stimulus is the latest in the round of first of its kind stimulus payments coming directly from the state's own budget. There are two separate payment programs. The latest is GSS2, is a one-time payment of either $500 or $1,100 payments per tax return for qualifying residents. The main qualifying credential is that a resident had to make $75,000 or less. Beyond that was the previous GSS1 program. The main difference for eligibility for this payment was that you must been either a California EITC recipient or an I-10 filer who made $75,000 or less. Total California AGI. Those who qualify for the Cal EITC have taxable earned income up to $30,000. Do not use married or RDP filing separately on their taxes if they are married or RDP and meet all other qualifications for this payment. So yeah, guys, if you live in California and you make less than $75,000 per year, make sure that you did receive already your Golden State stimulus. And if you didn't receive it during the first round a couple of months ago, then you want to make sure that you did receive this round as well, because those stimulus checks went out over this weekend. Now, if you are scheduled to receive one in the mail, then it's probably going to take at least 1 to 3 weeks before you receive that payment in your mailbox. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. Now for some stimulus update news. Negotiators have been working all weekend to finalize the social spending package while President Biden is traveling in Europe during the G20 summit. During discussions in the House, Democrats have decided that they are ready to go ahead and push this bill through and get signatures from everyone so that they can pass this bill hopefully on Tuesday, which is today. Well, something must have set Senator Joe Manchin off on Monday because he called a special news conference so that he could let out his frustrations. But let me go ahead and play an edited clip of what he had to say about the infrastructure bill and whether he will continue to support this bill.
I've heard a lot of the mischaracterizations of my position since the President met with the House Democrats last Thursday, and I would like to make an attempt to clear up any confusion about where I stand on the legislation that's working its way through Congress. In all of my years of public service, and I've been around for a long time, I've never seen anything like this. The President of the United States has addressed the House Democratic Caucus twice recently to urge action on the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which sometimes we refer to as the BIF bill. Last week, the Speaker Pelosi urged the importance of voting and passing the BIF bill before the President took the world stage overseas, and still no action. In my view, this is not how the United States Congress should operate, or in my view, has operated in the past. The political games have to stop. Twice now, the House has balked at the opportunity to send the BIF legislation to the President. As you've heard, there are some House Democrats who say they can't support this infrastructure package until they get my commitment on the reconciliation legislation. It is time to vote on the BIF bill, up or down, and then go home and explain to your constituents the decision you made. And I've always said, if I can't go home and explain it, I can't vote for it, and if I can, I will. For the past 3 months, with President Biden, Leader Schumer, Speaker Pelosi, and my colleagues on the reconciliation bill, and I will continue to do so. For the sake of the country, I urge the House to vote and pass the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Holding this bill hostage is not going to work in getting my support for reconciliation bill. I will not support a reconciliation package that expands social programs and irresponsibly adds to our $29 trillion in national debt that no one seems to really care about or even talk about. Nor will I support a package that risks hurting American families suffering from historic inflation. Simply put, I will not support a bill that is this consequential without thoroughly understanding the impact that it'll have on our national debt, our economy, and most importantly, all of our American people. I, for one, won't support a multi-trillion-dollar bill without greater clarity about why Congress chooses to ignore the serious effects of inflation and debt that have on our economy and existing government programs. For example, how can I in good conscience vote for a bill that proposes massive expansion of social programs when vital programs like Social Security and Medicare face insolvency and benefits could start being reduced as soon as 2026 in Medicare and 2033 in Social Security? A fiscally responsible piece of legislation that fixes the flaws of the 2017 Trump tax bill that I thought was weighted far, far too far for the high-end earners and the needs of the American families and children. However, as more of the real details outlined in the basic framework are released, what I see are shell games, budget gimmicks that make the real cost of the so-called $1.75 trillion bill estimated to be almost twice that amount. This is a recipe for economic crisis. None of us should ever misrepresent to the American people what the real cost of legislation is. While I've worked hard to find a path to compromise, it's obvious compromise is not good enough for a lot of my colleagues in Congress. It's all or nothing, and their position doesn't seem to change unless we agree to everything. Enough is enough. It's time our elected leaders in Washington, all of us, stop playing games with the needs of the American people and holding a critical infrastructure bill hostage. While there's opportunity in the reconciliation bill that we can all agree on, and we've been talking about this for months. Again, to be clear, I will not support the reconciliation legislation without knowing how the bill will impact our debt and our economy and our country. And we won't know that until we work through the text. And I am urging all of my colleagues in the House to vote and pass the bipartisan infrastructure bill. It's bipartisan, 69 votes. We worked on that for many, many months. As I've said before, holding that bill hostage is not going to work to get my support of what you want. I'm open to supporting a final bill that helps move our country forward, but I am equally open to voting against a bill that hurts our country. Let's work together, and I mean that. Let's all work together on getting a sensible reconciliation package, a package that really strengthens our nation and makes us better and leads the world. Let me say one thing. I'm not going to negotiate in public on this because I've been dealing in good faith, and I will continue to deal in good faith with all of my colleagues on both sides. It's time to pass the bill and quit playing games.
Well, there it is, guys. Manchin has changed his mind on supporting this infrastructure bill. He said that he doesn't think it's right that the Democrats hold the bipartisan bill hostage until he gets 100% behind supporting the larger social spending bill. And he also said a few other things, but let me remind you guys that the Democrats have consistently cut down the current stimulus bill in order to meet the moving target from Senators Joe Manchin and Christine Sinema. They initially wanted $6 trillion, and then they lowered it to $3.5 trillion. And over this past week, it's been cut down to only $1.75 trillion, with pretty much all of the great social provisions in the bill to be stripped away from it at the request of Joe Manchin. So the Democrats have done everything to meet all of the demands from Joe Manchin so that he will support this bill. And then last Friday, Manchin was on board with supporting it after the official text of the bill was released. But as of Monday, Manchin flipped, and now he doesn't want to support the social spending bill, as most Americans were excited to potentially finally get a deal sometime today. They are left being confused as ever. Well, Bernie Sanders wasn't going to let that slide exactly because he responded back to Manchin's concerns on the larger stimulus package. Senator Bernie Sanders took a swipe at Senator Joe Manchin on Monday after Manchin got up on the conference and stated that he had some red flags about the cost of the social and climate spending bill. Now, Sanders, speaking with the reporters at the Capitol, didn't mention Manchin's name, but instead he addressed it as anybody in the Democratic caucus or elsewhere that's worried about fiscal responsibility and the deficit. He said that the fact is that, according to the Congressional Budget Office, the infrastructure bill runs up to $250 billion deficit and it's not paid for. And then he said, but the legislation that I want to see passed is paid for in its entirety. It will not have an impact on inflation. So if we're talking about fiscal responsibility, I think that where we're trying to do with the reconciliation bill is the right thing. The CBO estimated in August that roughly $1 trillion infrastructure bill, which was negotiated by the group of senators, including Joe Manchin, would add $256 billion to the deficit over the next decade. But supporters of the infrastructure bill argued that it was fully paid for and that the CBO analysis didn't include all of their revenue streams, including unused coronavirus relief money. Now, the CBC hasn't released an estimate for the impact for the social and the climate spending bill that is still being negotiated by the White House and congressional Democrats. But Manchin said during his press conference that he raised concerns about the cost of the spending package, as well as he signaled that he wants to see the CBO analysis before the Senate actually votes on this bill. So yeah, guys, there we have it now. Manchin is now changing his mind on supporting the $1.75 trillion infrastructure package. Now, he didn't necessarily say in this conference exactly what he wants to see be included in this bill or exactly what he wants to have removed as of right now, but he did list out his actual concerns of what he sees as some red flags that are still included in this bill. So what's my take on all of this, guys? Yes, Manchin is right for the Democrats to hold the bipartisan bill hostage until they know for certain that Manchin will support the largest stimulus bill is accurate. They should not be holding this bill hostage. I agree with him, but they fear he won't support the social spending bill, so they are using this tactic as some leverage. So no, I don't think it's right to hold the bill hostage, but I clearly understand where and why they are doing it. And then he talked about him not supporting a package that extends these social programs, that extends the U.S. national debt. Well, the Democrats have already figured out how to get this bill paid for entirely by increasing taxes on wealthy individuals who make over a certain threshold. So it's already covered and wouldn't add to the deficit. But Manchin continues mentioning that sticky point. And then, of course, he still says that he supports reversing some of the 2017 Trump tax cuts that was implemented under the previous administration. But what's shocking is that he doesn't want to support Medicare and Social Security programs because they are on the verge of running out of money. So he doesn't want to throw more money at those programs when it's destined that they are going to end here in the near future, which means he is okay with allowing the programs to completely end and not doing anything about it, which really judges his character, I might say. You really want to question whether he is a Democrat or whether he is a Republican. But with all that being said, guys, hey, what is your take on this message that he gave on Monday? Do you guys agree and support Joe Manchin's concerns? Or do you think something different? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. But anyways, guys, hey, that's all I have for you today. Now, if you enjoyed this type of content and you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's totally free. And if you like this video, then go ahead and hit the like button for us. It really helps out this channel, as well as it tells YouTube to share this video with others. But anyways, guys, hey, I appreciate you guys stopping by and watching, and I hope to see you on the next video. Peace.